people you see here, whether it's Dr. Nidhi, Dr. Abhinav, or Manish, or me, we have been there with it right since the first edition.
It was fantastic, actually, I would say. We could connect a lot of students through ETCS. It's a platform which allows us to meet many bright students across India. And we can touch base with these students. So this was fantastic.
So my experience so far, I would say has been wonderful. And this season was quite exciting and quite challenging because of a lot of different variations that we saw every session. So when we look at the ET Campus Star, because it's a nationwide competition, which we know that which is run for our engineering students, which involves a 4 phases process. So phase 1 and phase 2, as we know, you all evaluate the students, these engineering students, on their academic and analytical abilities. And phase 3 and phase 4, they're more focused on the, I would say, higher order competency. So obviously they're very different, and the scalability of this entire setup and program that we see ranges out into different phases, brings out a better version of the students and the participants when they go through these 4 phases. So the experience so far from this side of the table has been, I would say, I think very counted for.
So on a holistic level, I would say this gives opportunity to students to connect with so many stakeholders. These stakeholders on different, they connect with us as a faculties, as a mentors, and they connect to different set of people. Now they will go to next level, they will meet different set of people. So yes, they meet different stakeholders. And when we say how in different phases, so I'd say in different phases they get to see different players of the competition. So like earlier they give something related to technology and something related to their field. In this one they give more which is non-tech and more on their own soft skill or leadership qualities.
Particularly in this phase, we completely changed the format. So whatever they have been tested on till this stage, suddenly the format changes. Suddenly the kind of skills and qualities and traits that we are checking, that changes. And that, I believe, makes it very unique.
When we were there with them on the Zoom platforms and when we put them into the breakout rooms, the kind of camaraderie and cohesiveness and the interpersonal communication or relatedness that you can draw from them, I think that was so quick. We could even, I remember Professor Abhinav, one point of time, my colleague, saying, I cannot even believe that these students have not met before, because the kind of camaraderie they had around that intervention is like, it's beauty to see. It's a must-watch kind of a scene when you see the students in action.
ET gives us immense opportunity, as I said earlier. So I would be repeating myself, but yes, with ET we get to meet these bright stars. And fortunately, as I come from this entrepreneurial background, and I take care of the hatchery over here, the incubator at Bennett Hatchery. That's we call as Bennett Hatchery.
So as I've been talking about the competencies, which were the core, you can say, focus or focal point of this third phase or intervention, where we had actually broken it out into 3 phases. So there was a pre-phase when they were there in a group discussion format. They had to be a part of a group discussion. Then there was a complete puzzle game given to them, which they had to approach as a team. But at least I as a mentor, I as their evaluator, saw that it was never evident that they were competing against each other, though they were. That's the beauty of this intervention, which brought all of these diverse mindsets together from different time zones and different geographical locations, because some of the students were from different time zones as well, I remember. So, different geographical locations, and then they were there in this platform. And I think interestingly, when they solved the puzzle, then the last, which was the third round into this third phase, so it was divided into 3 levels. So the third level was talking about that strategy in a nutshell in 60 seconds. So it was a complete time-bound engagement for them. And I think the process went well with the students. So they competed in team, they competed against each other. And I think they brought out the best that the team or individually they could contribute for the puzzle.
Collaborating while competing, that's a completely new dimension. And then what we very overtly used to do at the end of the process is to tell them that how this process brings up or brings out those qualities and how, because most of us, or all of us rather, are also working on student startups here.
Being part of all those sessions, I would typically talk about the observation that I had made around. I saw that these some of the students naturally, because see, all of these are engineering students. So for them, something of this sort also was a very different experience to be in. And we saw, at least I saw as one of their evaluators, that some of them had that natural tendency to, solve that ambiguity, whether it was to settle the group in the group discussion in the breakout room, or to bring about the puzzle and solve it analytically. I saw some natural leaders, some natural thought processes, some natural decision making abilities. They also had set individual and group goals there. We saw that. So it's very, very a kind of an enriching process for the students to be into the setting, to be into the game, to be into this session.
Quality of students, so most of them, we are fortunate. We meet students who are already, they have gone through a lot of drilling process, and they are actually the bright minds, who come to us.
It was totally an experience to come up, because we really had to work out our ways in terms of increasing the weights to specific skills that could be seen in an online setup, and reducing the weights which we can for specific skills which cannot be observed, which cannot be put together into an online setup. So yes, it has been a kind of a push and pull setup here and there.
So overall, I would say that this has been a great experiment. This was a forced experiment, but this has been a great experiment.
So advice would be to be passionate as they have been, innovate and network.
For me, the most important thing is collaboration. And so if they can, carry forward that same spirit of collaboration going there.
Just one advice: as you have been original, open, and creative, and ready to take any challenge, I think be yourself, be original. That's the mantra. So you can win it. This intervention was totally completely out of box, because when we were doing it as a team, it took us almost 4 to 5 months to think around what can actually be the performance check for the students. The skills remains the same. It's only the prioritization.
Even at the cost of repetition, I would say that the skill or even attitude to collaborate and not being an individual contributor, but being a team contributor. So that is, I think, extremely important.